Hello, everyone, to probably what's going to be the most confusing podcast I make. Because it's just the twins today. I am Judgmental Critter, and I have here with me my beautiful twin sister, Twiins iink.
Howdy.
So
we do sound very similar.
We do. But it'll be fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. This is how it would be like talking to us in real life. And you'll figure out the slight differences in our vocal tones.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about something pretty serious today. And it's something that's had to be discussed and has been attempted to be discussed several times. But I figure we should just talk about it now, here, together. No scripts or anything, let's just discuss this whole ordeal.
Yeah.
So, the RWBY community has had an issue with how it handles the toxic members of the fandom. And also an issue with who gets labeled as toxic, whether that's true or not.
Yeah. People in this community really like to throw around the label of "you're toxic" pretty liberally. It's usually used to just win pretty benign arguments, because every fandom will have disagreements, you know? It's like, well, I think Spike Spiegel is the coolest member of the Bebop. Well, no, clearly it's Faye Valentine, you know, and people will argue about things like that. Well, my favorite's Yang. Well, clearly Weiss is better. You know, shit like that. But people so quickly like to jump to labeling whoever they're disagreeing with as toxic really quickly, and that's really not useful.
And it's always seemed, because it's one thing to just disagree, and that's you can always disagree. You know, there is no perfect ship. There's no perfect episode. Someone will always disagree for some reason. But the thing is, people are seeing it not as disagreements, but as like fights, war zone, arguments. No, I have to somehow discredit what you're saying. I have to like prove you wrong. And
yes,
but the thing,
prove you wrong is such a big, like, that's everywhere in this community.
Yeah.
It's not just, people aren't willing to just accept that, oh, we disagree. But it must be, no, you have to be wrong.
And it's ultimately just a fruitless endeavor, and has just really sowed the seeds of a lot of ire and a lot of vitriol within the fandom against each other. Almost, like I'm saying, like almost warlike, because you can't prove an opinion wrong. That's just the nature of opinions.
Because that's...
Bouncing back to your fucking Cowboy Bebop example, you didn't say the actual best character, Radical Ed. And I can sit here all day and go up and down and talk left and right about everything that makes Ed the best character. But there's nothing...
But you would be wrong, because actually it's Ein.
People are confusing opinions with facts, and then they try to state their opinions like they're facts. And then when other people say, well, that's just an opinion, or that's not actually factual, it just creates this weird mentality of, no, I have to prove you wrong. I am right, you are wrong, you can't say that.
Yeah, people trying to invalidate others' statements over, oh, well, it's an opinion and wrong. Like,
It's so bizarre. And I've seen this thing. People, whenever this gets brought up, there's always a handful of people in the comment section of whatever it is that's being discussed. Whereas, well, it's not as bad as the My Hero Academia fans, or it's not as bad as when Harry Potter or whatever. That doesn't change what we're saying. Just because some other fandom somewhere was also shitty, that doesn't mean that the RWBY fandom gets a pass at acting shitty.
Exactly. Shouldn't you strive to be a better fandom than those really toxic ones that you keep using as an example?
Exactly.
Like, don't you want your community to be one of those amazing fandoms that everyone feels welcome and everyone's like, my favorite part is all the friends I've made in this awesome community. Don't you want that? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And like, I've been in many fandoms. I'm old.
We're old ladies.
Yeah. So I've seen my fair share of fandoms, and some of them were pretty dang volatile. But if the My Little Pony fandom can actually be pretty chill by the end of it, then why the heck can't the RWBY community be that way too?
Exactly. And it's just, I barely get it. It just makes no sense to me. Like, it's just opinions. You're getting so upset. The thing is, like, a lot of, especially, like, we are talking about it because we have slightly larger voices than the average fan. Yeah. Because we make videos, and we have several views, and there are many other people who make videos with views, and they get a lot of hate. We get a lot of hate thrown our way just for having thoughts and opinions.
Yeah. Let's talk about this from the perspective of a YouTuber for a second.
Yeah.
Because, so, I see a lot of weird ire towards YouTubers, which, it's weird because, one, I'm sure there are YouTubers you like. Like, if you lean more positive, then I'm pretty sure you're probably a fan of Murder of Birds.
Yeah.
He is also really positive. If you lean more negative, then you probably like Vexed Viewer. You know, I'm sure you certainly, even if it's not even within the RWBY community, there has to be at least one YouTuber you like.
Yeah, one that you agree with, in general.
So it's weird that the community seems to want to paint all YouTubers as, like, evil. And one of the things that I've seen a lot recently is this idea that they're lying to us with their clickbait thumbnails and titles. And I'm like, that's not what
that is. Like, of course, like, it always makes me laugh when I see people go, this is just clickbait. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works.
It's like I'm selling myself. That's what thumbnails are. You need to,
it's exactly
every single
exactly
video
like
that you, or whoever's listening to this, every single video that you have clicked on, I bet you clicked on it, not necessarily because of what the title was or what you thought the subject matter would be, but because the thumbnail caught your attention. It's just marketing.
It seemed interesting. It's exactly like, it is marketing. It's exactly like commercials, how they will be loud or like fast-paced in order to catch your attention. It's why fast food restaurant signs use vibrant colors, like when you're driving down the road. It's to catch your attention.
There's literal science behind this. People go to college for this stuff.
It's just graphic design and marketing fused together. And that's what, and unfortunately that is the climate of YouTube. You have to make your video seem interesting. And it has to stand out. And even people who don't, like, really heavily edit their thumbnails and stuff, like Murder of Birds. Like, he doesn't have, like photoshopped thumbnails, but he's still smart about how he does it. He will find a screen grab from the video where he looks really excited, or, like, a cool thing can be seen on the screen, like a fight is clearly happening or something.
Yeah.
Like, even without Photoshop, you still have to make your video seem interesting enough to click on. So
and
this idea that
it's the same with like titles too. You always exaggerate a little bit. That's the thing. You want to go a little bit, you want to exaggerate exactly what it is you're talking about to really sell the concept of the video before you get to the actual video where you're probably much more tame and chill.
Yeah. It's also weird to have this, like, arbitrary hatred of people on YouTube, because Rooster Teeth is that.
Yeah.
Like, I hate those evil YouTubers, not like Daddy Rooster Teeth, who started out just making YouTube videos of machinima.
Yep.
And RWBY is being a YouTube at one time.
I hate those YouTubers. Meanwhile, let me complain about why isn't RWBY on YouTube anymore?
Exactly.
Yeah, I wonder.
So it just feels like this weird kind of othering to like I don't like some of them, so I'll choose to paint the whole group as awful.
And something that really stands out to me is so many people will sit there and like smack talk like YouTubers and their reviews and their critiques and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can make your own videos.
Absolutely.
It is so easy nowadays to make you don't even need to be good. You can just...
Yeah, for real. Like, go back and watch any of our early videos. Those aren't good.
God,
You gotta start somewhere.
Exactly.
And Audacity is free.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, any pair of headphones can record you these days. There are a couple of different free video editors available.
Yes.
And Bandicam is free.
Yeah.
And you can download any PNG off of Google.
Exactly.
So, there's no reason why you shouldn't. Like, if you think, no, I can't make YouTube videos, that's too hard. The only thing stopping you at this point is your drive to do it.
You have to have the ambition to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a counter argument to that is, well, rather than me try to get to that level where I have a stage where an audience can hear me, the people who already have audiences should be saying these things.
That's not how it works.
And that's just not how it works.
YouTubers are not your mouthpiece. They are individual people voicing their thoughts.
It's like looping it right back around to opinions.
Yeah, if you want someone to say what you want them to say, well, hey, you have the perfect way to do that. You do it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another thing that I think is a misconception about YouTube, it's money.
Yeah.
This is a tiny tangent, but there's this also idea that YouTubers are just evil, money-hungry, money grabbers.
They
trying
purposefully make things super negative. They look through and try to find the negative things or make up lies.
Get rich quick by making a bunch of drama video. Okay, so let me explain. So 1,000 views will get you about $2.
Yeah. And you can't cash... The way the ads work on Google with YouTube, you can't collect any of your money until you surpass $300. Then they'll give you the money. And it doesn't matter if it takes they'll do it monthly, but it could take you a year before you surpass $300. No one is getting rich quick off of making YouTube.
No. And it's like, I don't know, now that you know, like, the average, of course longer videos can have more ads in it, and so could theoretically make more money than my example of 1,000 equals $2. But now that you know basically how that works, now you can understand actually how little YouTubers make.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like, also, because what's so wrong with wanting to get paid for your work?
Yeah, but that's
like,
a different topic.
People need to pay rent. They need.
I would love to eat.
Yeah, so, I don't know, maybe stop just villainizing people just for their job/hobby of being a YouTuber.
And it's back on the idea of, like, just, like, reviewing criticism and disagreeing with criticism. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Do that.
Yeah.
Just because I say I don't like the ending of Volume 8, it doesn't mean that you need to agree with me. I'm not trying to force you to change your mind because I had a thought and an opinion. That's not what critique is about.
Yeah, like it's up to you to still make your own opinions. Like, if you value a YouTuber or reviewer's opinion, then you can be like, well, I see where they're coming from. I hadn't considered it like that. But you don't have to conform to their thoughts.
Another thing is, if you don't agree with them, if you don't like what they're saying, and you don't like their videos, and you don't like their opinions, you could just ignore them.
Yeah.
There are lots of I don't like CinemaSins, so I don't watch CinemaSins.
Easy peasy.
There we go. That's the end of it. I saw someone on Reddit, I think. I saw them. They had a comment, and they were like, YouTube keeps recommending these awful videos to me. So what I do is I click on the video, and then I do a downvote on it. I do thumbs down on it. And I'm like, that's just going to tell the algorithm to keep giving you those videos. If you don't want to see them, just ignore them.
Yeah, you can tell YouTube, I don't want to see this video anymore, without having to click on it. Mm-hmm. Because also what you're doing is, if you really, really hate the person that you keep getting recommended, like it's some like weird scam child cartoon thing.
Yeah.
What you can do is, instead of clicking on the video, is there will be 3 dots next to it when it's recommended. If you click on that, then you can say, stop recommending this to me. And then you can also tell YouTube why. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like this content. I've seen it before. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's plenty of... It's 2021. There are ways to curate your online engagement these days.
And stepping away from like the YouTube kind of related, but not from necessarily a YouTuber perspective kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Also, just because you see this video with a viewpoint that you don't like, or this post on Twitter or Reddit or wherever that you don't agree with, you don't have to fight them over it. Like, yeah. You could walk away. You don't need to try to prove something by sticking around and arguing with them, because that's not going to help anything.
Especially if it is just an opinion. Like, if someone is being like really problematic, like if they're saying some like bigoted stuff, mm-hmm. or they're like spreading a lie, then stepping in to be like, hey, you should stop being so rude. Yeah. Stop spreading your bigoted opinion. Or, hey, this is actually wrong. Your facts are wrong. Here's a source. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But if you don't like a thing because you don't agree with it, like if it's like, Weiss's Volume 7 outfit is perfect, and you think her Volume 7 outfit looks horrible, then you don't have to, like, go to that post or YouTube, like, video or whatever it is and be like, well, actually, I think it looks horrible. Uh-huh. Like, you could if you want to have a discussion. Like, if you're like, I think it's interesting that you like it so much because I think it's trash. Yeah. Let's talk about our differences. That's normal.
It's when you go in and it's when you try to start a fight. Yeah, it's like, no, you're wrong. This is why. There is a lot of like relevance to how you say things. Like if you say, no, you're stupid. That's bad. You're stupid. You're wrong. You're toxic. Yeah, that's not good. Anytime I see that happen, it just ends in both parties just ignoring each other after a while.
Yeah, and then you both walk away mad, and you have a perspective of how the way the quote-unquote other side, those who do like the Weiss outfit, those who don't like the Weiss outfit, mm-hmm. and now you just have a perspective of how they all are. You kind of end up representing people who share your opinion when you engage with others. Like, that's just the way how humans work. Yeah. And
I'm not saying you can't like stand up for your own thoughts and opinions if you feel the need to, but here's another thing: you don't need to spam everybody who has a different thought and opinion. Like, I've seen plenty of Reddit threads where they're all generally kind of agreeing with each other on something, and then there's that one guy who, in every single thread, is attacking everyone individually, being like, no, you're wrong, that's bad, you're wrong. You don't need to target everybody like that. That's bullying.
Yeah, it's also like... Don't you have hobbies?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have nothing better to do than just argue with people online?
And of course, we're not trying to, like, police how you behave on the internet. Mm-hmm. It's the internet, Yeah. And, sometimes you do end up getting heated. If we're all really passionate about RWBY, and that's where these really sort of volatile emotions come from. I love it so much. I hate it so much. It's because we are all passionate about RWBY.
Yeah.
And so, of course, things can kind of get out of hand. You can lose your temper. You can say something you regret. The other person can do all that too. But, like, just try to keep in mind that you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Like, if you try to be nice, try to be polite, try to keep that temper in check, then you will walk away at least feeling better with yourself than if you did let yourself snap and say something rude. And you're more likely to walk away with a better experience. Yeah. Because as long as you stay polite, then the other person will probably follow suit. And if they go out of line and you continue to treat them well, then they will usually be like, I shouldn't have said that, and they'll try to back down, back to your polite level. Mm-hmm. So,
or at the very least, you set an example for other people of what you could be doing to not escalate a problem further. I imagine something people might be thinking with this that we're saying right now is, but I've seen so many YouTube videos where people get really upset and heated. Bouncing it back to that kind of mentality, I would like to offer two, not excuses, but explanations, basically. Mm-hmm. One, if it's a reaction video or like something where like someone is reviewing an episode that just came out. For example, my volume 8 episode 10 video, I get very heated because I just watched the episode. And as I'm speaking my mind unscripted, I am rightfully frustrated. I'm allowed to feel frustrated, and if I were to script it, I would probably not deliver it that way. But because it wasn't scripted, and I'm just venting my thoughts and opinions to the ether, like if you
emotions can be extreme.
Yes, if you eat if you go to a burger joint and they give you a burger and you wait over an hour and then you bite into your burger and it's completely burnt, you're gonna be rightfully frustrated.
Yeah. Similarly, just like how sometimes someone will be they'll go to that burger place and the burger's immediately done and it's perfect. It's the tastiest burger they've ever had. Mm-hmm. And so they're gonna, in an equal way, to be just as excited to be like, holy shit, this burger was so fucking amazing, I loved it so much. The same thing can happen with an episode.
Exactly.
A negative opinion isn't inherently less okay than a positive one.
Yes.
Just because, and yeah, negative reviews and stuff can get more, I'm gonna use the word fighty, for lack of a better word right now.
I understand.
Because you when you're listing negatives, you sound negative. Because it's just how it is. Mm-hmm. So I can understand being more upset if they're just being so mean. I get that. But keep in mind that a negative opinion is not necessarily coming from a place of a worse person. You know?
Yeah. And you don't know, another element to that is, you don't know what, this person's entire experience could have been. There could be, more personal reasons behind their reactions.
Yeah, it might be a bad day already.
Yeah.
Or
it might just be touching on something that they personally have a lot of issues with beforehand. Mm-hmm. Well, you have no idea. So don't assume everyone is judging everything based on how you are coming into it.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, opinions aren't binary. I used to really hate Volume 2. Over time, I've come around to it.
Yeah.
I still think it's kind of flawed, especially the dance arc. but now, I think it's one of my favorite volumes.
Yeah.
So, thoughts can change over time. And hell, even in a short-term way, someone can love one episode, and then they can absolutely hate the next one. Mm-hmm. And then they can love the next one after that. And so, don't assume a person's entire, thought process off of one video or one post.
Yeah, because this is always my favorite example. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Revolutionary. Groundbreaking. But The Great Divide... not the best.
And I like The Great Divide.
I don't. God, I think it's bad. It's the whole first season of Avatar is bad. Like, it's not all bad, but like it's got the worst stuff. It has Bato of the Water Tribe.
That's the worst episode.
It has, like,
except that's the problem, because I really like that, like, the final scene of Bato.
But then you go even further. Even an episode that you don't like, there's some things you could like. And even an episode you do like, there might be things you don't like.
Yeah, so, you know, keep in mind that opinions are fluid. So,
And then
don't yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll just repeat myself at this point.
And then the other thing is, when it comes to seeing YouTubers reacting or having even scripted videos where they are getting more heated or more extra, I guess, for a way of putting it.
Yeah.
Similar to what we were saying about thumbnails and titles and stuff, you do kind of want to over-exaggerate at times for entertainment purposes. Yeah, it's a performance. Murder of Birds is one of the best reviewer or reaction channels for RWBY, because he is a very reactive like person. He does good facial reactions. He's very animated. I don't want to sit there and watch a reaction channel where they just sit there and look like a dead zombie the entire time.
Yeah, regardless of, like, if you agree with Murder of Birds or not, like, you can't deny that he's at least doing reaction correctly, you know? Like, he is really animated. And being hyperbolic is funny. Like, in my video where, I forget what episode specifically it is, but it's in volume 6, it's the one with the Pyrrha statue. So I knew I don't like that episode going into that review. And yeah, rewatching the episode to write the review, I was like, yeah, I don't like this. And so I went out of my way to be way more, like, over the top with certain things, in order to push the humor, so as to it to not just be me being mad.
Yes.
You know, like, with things like makes me want to, like, claw my eyes out of boredom. like it doesn't really.
In your regular conversations about the episode, if it were not for performative or entertainment purposes, I highly doubt you would describe the scene as, or my meds finally kicking in. Like, and that's one of the funniest parts of the video.
Watching the tears fall across my keyboard. So yeah, you know, like, being really over the top, and even just in, like, terms of not just necessarily what you say, but also, like, how you say it. Like, if someone is yelling about whatever it is, it's to be entertaining. So sometimes I would get comments that are like, you need to calm down. Like it's just a show. And I'm like, bitch, I'm being entertaining.
If I calmed down, it would be boring.
Exactly.
Because that's a thing. Like, we've all seen boring videos. Do you watch Mariah Elizabeth?
I have no.
She does like arts and craft squishy makeover stuff.
I watch similar things.
I love her channel, but she had a video recently where she reacted to some of her older videos, and she had this old one where she was basically just explaining how to make like homemade squishies, and she was like, "This video is boring," and because she was explaining that she was really monotone and really over articulating, and not like, she wasn't being very personable.
Animated?
Yeah, and she's like, this video is super boring, guys. And yeah, if you don't...
I get that. Watching some of my earlier videos, I'm like, why aren't I pushing these, like, emotions more? Why am I being so reserved?
And it's a thing where I feel like it's especially hard through text, like on like Twitter or Reddit exclusively. It's hard to push those kind of entertainment elements, performative elements, through just text. And a lot of people tend to take what you say on face value. And
yeah, it is tough, because there's no sarcasm font. There's no way to convey an inflection. The best you can do is pair every, like, tweet or Reddit post or whatever it is with, like, an image to accompany it, to kind of convey whatever you're trying to convey, but sometimes that's not available.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just not reasonable. So some Twitter threads go on for like years.
Yeah.
You can't find a picture to represent your emotion for each one, you know? So it is harder in a text medium to kind of gauge that. I think it'd be helpful to, if you encounter something that you think is coming at it in a less than excellent light, like if you're like, they're being so overdramatic, they're being misleading, then maybe confront them tentatively at first, because if you just fly in like, hey, you're lying, and then if they're like, yeah, I'm being over exaggerated for a reason, then you're embarrassed and you feel like you need to clap back at them. So if you just come in, like, softball them first, and then they, like, double down, like, yeah, I am lying, you know, that's when you can be like, hey, so maybe don't do that.
on a similar thing, it's about the getting heated or being performative or things like that. I've seen this thing on Reddit, or maybe Twitter as well, just around this idea that critique is supposed to be, like, objective. Like, you're supposed to be completely free of bias. And that is just the most confusing thing in the world to me, because that is literally the point of criticism.
Yeah, like, you can come at it with
You can put your personal biases, like, if I was to, like, review Labyrinth, our favorite movie of all time, I would have to, like, put my own biases aside and not just gush about how everything is absolutely perfect, because there are problems with it, sure.
Yeah.
But,
well, yeah.
But I can't be
I wanted to disagree.
But I can't also just, like, ignore the parts that did make me love it, whether they're justified or not.
Yeah, and you can approach, like, a reviewer can approach something with a sense of authority. For example, I have an art background, so I'm more prepared to discuss art and know what I'm saying better than if I were to discuss music, which I don't know all the terminology of music.
Yeah.
I have to just tell you how I feel about music. I can't explain the mechanics of it from a scholarly level.
Yeah.
So there's that, but at the end of the day, every single review is an opinion.
Yes.
Roger Ebert didn't like Labyrinth, and I usually respect his opinion.
Yeah.
And I disagree.
I would say, but also on that, this was something, so I was thinking about this before. So Roger Ebert, because people often talk about, like, what's good criticism, what's bad criticism, how do you expect, which one's right, which one's wrong? That doesn't exist. There is no right and wrong.
Watch any show with, like, a panel of judges to understand that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they all agree, sometimes they don't. They all have the authority to be in that judging seat to tell you who's gonna be America's next top pentatonics or whatever. In a mask.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, like, and they could be doing it in a way where they're all making, like, written reviews of each performance, but one, that's not good TV, and two, it doesn't matter because it's still the same result. Like,
Yeah.
Even people who have, like, authority to talk on what they are reviewing won't always agree, because a review is it's explaining your opinion. That's what it is. So yeah.
The thing was, if you want to know, I wouldn't call, so back to Roger Ebert's Labyrinth review.
Right.
I wouldn't call it, I can't say it's bad, because he does make a few, like, good remarks here or there.
I understand why he has or had the opinion
but I
that
think
he had.
At best, I could call it a flawed review, which I think is the word people should be aiming for. Not bad, not wrong, but flawed. So
Yeah.
Roger Ebert, Roger, in his review, you can tell he thought Hoggle's name was Toby.
Oh.
So either...
Oh, Ebert, no.
So, which, if you watch the movie, it is damn near fucking impossible to get Hoggle's name wrong.
Oh, she says it so often.
So
she says both Hoggle and Toby.
Like, Toby
so
is,
often.
like, there's two different characters. And that's obviously what must have happened was Roger was not paying attention. That's the only way you could get that kind of mistake.
Yeah, and you can call someone out on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone makes a mistake that big, then yeah, absolutely be like, I don't think you did a great job reviewing this.
Yeah, it calls into question everything else. Like, he also says it's too long, and I'm like, it's only a little over an hour.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not even 2 hours, dude.
Like, is it really too long, or did you clearly just wasn't interested in it, and since you were bored and not paying attention, it felt too long? Like...
Yeah, so some reviews aren't, they aren't particularly well done in that regard, where they didn't actually watch the thing or play the game or whatever it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, but you can't accuse every review that you disagree with as being like that.
Yes. Because...
Yeah, because you go ahead.
Like, what's your least favorite video on your channel? That's RWBY related. Let's keep it somewhat RWBY related.
The Aura one.
Why?
Because it's boring. I spend most of the video just explaining Aura as opposed to, like, talking about how it could be streamlined. It's not particularly funny. The music is too loud and too quiet in different places. And at the end of the day, all it did was open up a discussion for people to tell me, I think it's like the thing in Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't add to the conversation. I haven't watched Hunter x Hunter. I'm glad it's like whatever it is, okay? But, yeah, so it didn't even open up a conversation either. So, yeah. Flawed video.
So,
and the thumbnail's butt ugly, too!
You didn't crop it very well, I will admit, I'm sorry. I got what you were doing, but it didn't work out the way...
No.
But that's the thing, even, like, just like you and Roger Ebert, no one is perfect. No one makes the best. Everyone has flaws, and everyone could look back at their own reviews and go, damn, I should have said this different, I should have worded myself different there. Everyone makes mistakes, we're all human. It's learning that there's a difference between making mistakes or just being, like... You can't vilify people for making mistakes, basically.
Yes. Ignorance is not the same as malice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. And also, like, so, it kind of takes a couple of videos of any person, like any YouTuber, or even, like, a couple of episodes of a show, for you to figure out if it's for you or not. Like, I like Yahtzee. 0 punctuation. Yahtzee, not the game.
No, the game's boring.
It is. I like him. And I... Sometimes he makes videos that I don't agree with. But overall, for the most part, I agree with his opinions, and I think he's funny and entertaining. And so I enjoy 0 punctuation. Same with Donkey. There's 100 YouTubers that are like that, where, hey, I don't agree with their thoughts on this one video game, and I don't decide to stop watching them after one video that I disagree with. But there have absolutely been videos or YouTubers where enough in a row had me like, I think we're just not on the same wavelength anymore. I'm not jiving with what they have to say, so I'll just stop watching their stuff.
And similarly, that can happen with shows. Like,
yes,
including RWBY. Like, I don't watch RTAAs anymore. Rooster Teeth Animated Adventures.
Yeah.
I loved them. I loved them so much.
They were what got us into Rooster Teeth.
They were. It was the one where Miles talks about the little kid with the blue eyes Yu-Gi-Oh card. That was the first one we ever watched.
I thought it was the headlight fluid.
That was the
second
one.
We watched a bunch in a row.
Yeah. But used to love them, but I don't watch them anymore because I've gotten to a point where I've been so disappointed and or bored with the product they have delivered that I don't watch them anymore. And so, bringing it back to RWBY, it boggles my mind that some people think that people will watch RWBY and even though
out
they
of spite.
hate it, even though if you hate RWBY, they only watch RWBY to hate it, and then they only do it so then they could talk about how much they hate it on Reddit and piss me off. Like, no.
Like,
No.
It's been 9 years of RWBY.
Yeah.
No one is going to hate watch something for 9 years. Like, at this point, if there were anybody like that, they're gone.
Yeah.
That's because if you hate something, you don't want to keep watching it.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Someone might ironically watch it, kind of like how, people will watch The Room, the movie The Room,
Yeah.
because it's so bad it's good in a way. So people might have that opinion of RWBY, but that's not hate. That's just a different kind of love.
That's a different kind of, enjoyment.
Yeah.
But it's like, if no one is sitting there making, posts on Reddit or videos on YouTube being like, I think Aura is flawed. They're not making these while watching through the whole show, hating it the entire time. Like, no. That's dumb. That doesn't make sense based on human nature.
I'm trying to think of a show that I hated so much.
Planet Sheen. I hated that one. That Jimmy
That one was
Neutron
bad.
spin-off. Wow, I hated that one.
That one was really bad. And you know what? I didn't watch it.
Exactly. It's hard to think of ones that you haven't watched that you hate because you haven't watched
Because no one does that.
Yeah. I can think of the ones I really like Steven Universe and Cowboy Bebop and Monica Magica.
Yeah.
Fairly Odd Parents at first.
And I think I understand where someone might be kind of confused or held up by this idea that it's if all you do are make these negative videos about RWBY, if 90% of your RWBY videos are you complaining about it, then that must mean you hate it, right? And no. If people keep making those negative videos, keep making their reviews or whatever it is, talk about how disappointed they are and how upset they are about RWBY, again, it comes from a place of passion. They care about the show, but they are unhappy with how it's been. That is how it works. Yeah, kind of like how in my leaving video, how I talk about pizza, how I like pizza, but I don't like all pizza, and that's what that review is explaining why this pizza you made isn't as good as the other pizzas you've made. Here's how you could improve it.
And that's the thing.
That kind of mentality.
They bring this up because they want to see it getting better and improving based on what their standards are of the show. And here's another thing with that. Could you make a video about just an element you loved? Could I make a video about Nora, for example?
I knew it was gonna be Nora.
I love Nora.
You are the Nora #1 stan.
I love Juniper's my favorite, honestly. Even Jean. Juniper's my favorite, not Pyrrha. They've been my favorite.
It's because they do things.
I know, but they're just fun together. But I could make a whole video just talking about Nora and how much I love Nora. But that video is probably going to be real boring. Because it's basically just me being like, Nora's great. She is cute. Her hair looks good no matter what length it is. Her outfits have always been stellar. And, I can just...
And of course, positive videos like that can absolutely exist. In fact, they do.
Yeah.
You can make those and have a grand old time.
But it's more interesting to talk about things that, don't make sense, or you had an issue with, but why is, Ren so boring, or something like that.
Yeah, because you have to, when you posit a negative like that, you have to explain yourself. You have to justify your reasoning. So you just end up with more to say when you're talking about the things that you weren't happy with.
Yeah, and
I'm sure you've done that with, like, your group of friends. Like, you finish a movie, and it was cool, and you kind of keep just saying, like, yo, remember that one time Captain America fought Iron Man?
so good,
you know? And
so cool.
but if you walk out of the movie and it was bad, then you end up spending, like, the whole car ride home being like, and then also, why was the water bending so slow? Like, you just have more to say when it's a negative, because you can then expand on how it could have been done better, what they did do wrong.
Yeah. See, that's so. Like, I saw a post on Reddit. I think it was a week or two ago or something, and it was basically, why aren't there more positive posts on
Yes,
Reddit? And
it was the stupidest post. It was just because it's like there are so many positive RWBY tubers, and you have an easy way to find them.
Yeah.
Go to the Oscars and then look in the description.
yeah. Everyone in the Oscars are just completely lovely people. I loved all of them. But the thing was, like, why are there no more positive posts? There are plenty, but no one's really engaging with them, because what else? This is my positive post. Penny is really cool. What am I gonna do? Be in the comment section and be like, I agree.
Yeah.
With the negative ones, it sparks discussion, and even if it's negative and someone agrees with them, they could maybe discuss with each other why they think it's that way, how it could be improved. There's nothing to talk about with the positives other than just confirming why you think it's positive and why you like it.
Yeah. And if you do try to come into a positive anything with a dissenting opinion, then you're bringing down the mood. Like, I hate to say it, but you are.
Yeah.
If someone's hanging out in public, like, pretend that this is IRL, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this thing, and someone shows up like, no, that's dumb, you're just being a wet blanket. So it is harder to engage with a discussion of differing opinions when it's a positive thing. And that's not bad. I'm not saying stop being positive. I'm just saying don't expect people to have as meaty of discussions about positives, just because it's harder to do.
And this is related to, like, when I made videos for Volume 7, I loved Volume 7. I was generally very happy with the whole of it, and a lot of my comments on my videos were similarly positive. Like, there was hardly anyone trying to pick fights or argue, because it's exactly how you're saying. You're just gonna come in and be a wet blanket. But in my Volume 8 reviews, towards the end, when I was getting more negative because I didn't like how the ending of Volume 8 went, I was getting way more comments being like, well, why are you being so negative? Why are you being that way? You're just angry. No, you're wrong. It's a two-way street here, guys.
Yeah.
If I'm negative, if I'm upset about how the show is going, coming in and, like, antagonizing me over it isn't gonna change my mind. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're right, it was good all along.
You can't bully someone into sharing your opinion, whether or not your opinion is positive or negative. So, like, if you want to engage with, like, if you disagree with Critter, and you're like, she's being too negative, I should defend the show from her negative review. Mm-hmm. That's fine, you're absolutely allowed to do that. But you, in turn, don't have to try to attack Critter, or anybody else, for that matter, to do that. You know? Like, that's the thing. Like, Critter is being hyperbolic in her review, because, like how we mentioned earlier, it's a performance. She's animated, and also, there's a lot of emotions happening.
Yes.
You don't have to, like, attack her. Because that's the thing to keep in mind. Critter being mad and yelling about something she found to be stupid or poorly done in a show does not hurt the cartoon's feelings.
Yeah. They are cartoons.
It's a cartoon. They are cartoon characters. They are fiction.
They are not real. They do not exist. I can say whatever I want about Blake. Blake's feelings will not get hurt because Blake does not exist.
Theoretically, the writers could have their feelings get hurt, but also, let's be honest,
it's a product.
They're not watching her video. It's like, one, they choose what they get to engage with. You leaving a comment on a video gets sent directly to the person. They get a notification for it. They basically have to read it to know whether or not it's like, is this person saying, hey, cool thumbnail, or are they telling me that I'm the scum of the planet, you know?
And that's a similar, like, YouTubers need to moderate their own comment section. So, so many people seem confused when I call them out, or I get rid of their comments or something, or I do something like that, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't think you'd read this. I have to make sure no one's in my comment section bullying other people or spewing hate or something like that.
And yeah, like you said, RWBY is also a product. It might hurt the writers' feelings if they get a negative review. But also, they are selling this product.
Yes, they are.
If they expect to make money for it, then they have to... Honestly, they should be engaging with those negative reviews that they find to, one, see if they are valid, and two, learn how they can improve to continue to make a better product.
Yeah.
Their feelings might be hurt, but hopefully they will be able to use those hurt feelings to then strive to get better. You just saying an attack, you're something rude to a YouTuber, you are worthless, I hate you, I hope you die. That's not okay.
No. There's a difference
That's
between...
never okay.
There's a difference between me saying, this episode was stupid and boring and I hated it, and someone saying to another human being, you are stupid and boring and I hate you.
Yes.
I've seen this thing people have done before, I don't remember where, but, like, someone will give a critique and it's negative, and someone will start attacking them in their comment section. And their comeback is, well, I'm just critiquing you the same way you critiqued the show. No, you are executing a personal attack. That's not you can't critique a person. You can critique a person's if they're giving a speech, you can deliver on their you can critique how they delivered their speech, but you can't critique a human being based on being a human being. That's not
you
how
can
that
critique
works.
the quality of their review, like how we did with Ebert earlier. But we're not saying Ebert's a bad guy.
Yes.
We're saying that he did a bad job with his review, but Ebert was probably chill enough. I don't know him. And also keep in mind, Critter saying this episode was stupid and boring and I hated it has nothing to do with you.
Yes. I'm not attacking
She's
you.
not saying you're stupid for liking it. She's not saying that she hates you for liking it. She's just saying what she felt. And that goes for every single person on the internet, not just YouTuber.
Yes.
If you find a Twitter thread or a Reddit post or a Tumblr, whatever, that says this episode was stupid and boring and I hated it, they don't care about you. And not in a mean way, but in a your feelings doesn't affect how they received a product. You are allowed to disagree.
Yes.
You are allowed to like the episode, to think it was thought-provoking, interesting, and cool.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do that just as much as they are allowed to think it's stupid. You don't have to try to tell them they're wrong.
Yeah. And here's the thing. A while ago, I had someone tweet at me, and they're like, I've reviewed your review of Volume 8, Episode 10. And I went through, it was a Reddit post, and I went through it, and it really wasn't a review of my review. It was just a counterpoint review using things I said as examples. And I'm like, that's not the same. There's a difference.
And phrasing does matter. Like, if they had tweeted at you being like, I made a counter-argument of your review.
Yeah.
Well, then that is what they did. So, hey, let's check that out and look at what it is.
But the fact that...
But saying that you're reviewing something by trying to posit a counter-argument, yeah, that's not a review.
Yeah.
I think perhaps they got close, but... that's why I have videos titled discussions and not reviews sometimes, because wording does matter, unfortunately.
in this funny world of critique and giving opinions, your words matter. So make sure you pick your words carefully.
Yeah. So, yeah. There's... Honestly, I say if you disagree with a YouTuber enough, like we said earlier, make your own videos. That's why we started making videos. Because we couldn't find any YouTuber mentioning the volley of problems in Volume 4. And at the time, I was still very gung-ho about RWBY. I was like, I love RWBY so much, but just tiny little things kept coming up, like, why didn't they go back to get the map? Why did they pace it this way? Stuff like that.
Yeah, like Yang's arm and that character whole...
Yeah, so that's why we started making videos in the first place, just because we wanted our opinion to be heard. So, make videos, dang it. I know you can.
I believe in you.
I'm sure you'll get better at it than me, too.
I guess it's not related. Who even cares if it's related anymore? But something I wanted to say is I don't... In this whole scenario, I don't think it's healthy to try to isolate your mindset to only think one way. Because we're talking about extremes here. I don't think it's healthy to say, I love every single thing about the show. Like, back to Bato of the Water Tribe. It's healthy to admit there are things you did not like.
And similarly, it's just as healthy to, like, admit, like, if you are more negative of the show, it's good to still point out when you did think something was good. Even if you're, like, just talking casually with your friends. Like, if you truly do find yourself disliking every single element of the show, then you might, like, I don't know, you might be happier not watching it. And that's not me saying don't watch, but rather, if you do find yourself so upset every time you watch the show, maybe consider waiting on the next volume when you're in a more agreeable mindset. If it starts to feel like a chore to watch a cartoon, maybe you're not enjoying it as much as you want.
And you should be...
And it might be worth your while to find a cartoon that you would prefer to watch, at least for now.
And you should be striving to find things that do make you happy, that you can enjoy.
Yeah, and there's a million shows out there.
And it's like...
You will like one of them.
And it's not... it can be hard to walk away from something, but you should understand, like, when I got really into Karen videos around the middle 2020, like, watching, like, Karens just freak out and stuff. I don't know why. It just happened one day. I was bored at work, and I got really into watching Karen videos. And eventually, I got, like, a few months in, and I realized I was getting so angry because the Karens were pissing me off, and I was like, I need to stop. This is something I need to stop doing. If you're getting to the point where watching the show makes you feel that angry, or alternatively, just so bored and disinterested, you're gonna be happier getting it out of your life. And it's not the same as...
At least for a bit. You can always come back.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you could be like, give it a year or something and be like, let's check out that volume I didn't watch last time.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll like it more. Maybe you'll be like, I'm still not loving this. You can always come back to a show when you are feeling more up for it.
Yeah, because people can change. People are meant to be fluid, you know?
Yes.
Like some of my favorite RWBY YouTubers, not including us. Fat Man Falling, Murder of Birds, Cal, Dan, Raijin Rising, Celtic Phoenix. There's, like, the gambit. Positive and negative opinions across all these people and more that I didn't name off because I'm struggling to remember names.
Like, you like Sirs and Madams.
I do like Sirs and Madams. They're great. They're really good. Watch more Sirs and Madams, guys. But no, like, across all of them, they have different opinions on things. They have different takes on things. Like, I remember at the end of Volume 6, Murder of Birds did a reaction video with Fat Man Falling and his crew, and there was a lot of people in the comments like, what? I never thought they would interact. It's like, because they can understand, even though you can have different opinions on something. We can still be cool.
Yeah.
We can still agree on some things.
It takes maturity to be civil with people you tend to disagree with. But it doesn't take maturity to understand that people are more than just their opinions on a single cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Even like...
That's just basic.
Like, Eruption Fang. I don't agree with his opinions on the Aesops, but he has really good reviews still. I still really like watching his stuff. I can disagree. But...
Hell, I disagree with you.
Yeah.
A lot.
We had totally different viewpoints on Volume 8 and Volume 7.
Yeah, we barely ever fully 100% agree.
And
that's so normal.
So I think it's healthy to not try to devote yourself wholly one way. The RWBY Reddit thing had a whole debacle recently.
Yeah, it did.
And, I tweeted about it, Twiins tweeted about it, lots of people tweeted about it. It was a very big deal. And
no one cared about my tweets.
I cared. I love you. First world problems. No one liked my tweeter. But the whole thing happened where the main RWBY sub banned everyone from the RWBY Critic sub kind of unprompted, out of nowhere. And they did reverse it.
It was so out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't understand how... Surely there's multiple mods working that subreddit. Because deciding to just, that's it, I'm banning anyone from the other sub. That feels like something like an individual would like a snap decision in the middle of an argument.
Like just, I'm deciding now.
The equivalent of 5 people slamming the door, you know?
Yeah.
It was so weird that it came out of absolutely nowhere.
And they've reversed that, thankfully. I think closing off doors is one of the worst solutions to the problem they are perceiving, which is...
Yeah, especially since a lot of people mentioned that they use both subreddits. Yeah. Because the original RWBY Reddit does, it's mostly fan art. And then it'll also have, updates, here's the new trailer kind of a thing. Yeah. News and stuff about the show. And then the RWBY Critics subreddit tends to be aimed more at having discussions. Mm-hmm. So people are interested in all of those things, and since it is harder to find discussions on the main subreddit, and that's the entirety of the RWBY Critics subreddit, mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a lot of bleed over. It is not this our side, their side. Yeah, there's tons of people.
There's no
on both sides.
There is no sides.
There is no sides. The tribalism of this community is the biggest problem, and it is the thing that needs to fucking stop.
Yes.
This othering, this us versus them. You're all fans of RWBY. Whether or not you tend to be more positive or more negative, you all like RWBY.
Yes.
You like talking about it, you like drawing shit about it, you like thinking about it, you like talking to other people about it. It doesn't matter how positive those conversations are, it doesn't matter how negative those conversations are, you're all fans, so stop trying to paint each other as different sides.
Yeah.
Because you're just hurting everyone by doing that.
It's gotten to the point where on Reddit, no one's talking about the show anymore.
Yeah.
No one, after that whole thing, going through, the posts nowadays, other than the fan art, no one mm-hmm. is, it's all just talking about them, that sub, the other ones.
Yeah.
No one has mentioned a single character in the show for,
and,
days.
I get that it's the off season, we don't have anything new to really discuss, but, the idea that this community can just become constant infighting.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to other fans to talk about which side I don't like.
Yeah.
I want to talk to other fans so we can be yo, I like this part. I don't like this part. Yeah. The show. I want to talk about the actual fucking show.
I'll be honest,
and you all choose to stand so hard.
This podcast was not one I wanted to make, but it's one
No.
we needed to make, because this is the issue that keeps popping up. I would much rather just sit here and talk about how much I like Nora. But instead
I could talk about Labyrinth all dang day.
instead we're sitting here and we have to discuss, like opinion etiquette. No, this shouldn't have to be a thing we need to talk about.
You don't have to voice your opinion because that is something you see a lot, is critics need to say their things nicer, basically.
No.
And it's like, that's not true.
That's
I'm
not
sorry.
true at all. Like, it's gotten so bad that we need to take time out of our days to explain just how bad this situation has gotten. And the thing was, I noticed it maybe last year, and then it got a little worse at the end of Volume 8, and now it's getting just bad. It's getting really, really bad. And I want to just back on the idea of you shouldn't be so wholly devoted to one mindset. You shouldn't be so wholly divided to thinking the show is always perfect. Because I was on Reddit today, and I saw someone saying something along the lines of, all the critics should be banned forever, and then they should never be allowed to come back because their opinions are bad, and we can keep our community pure. And I thought, my very first thought was, you're gonna eat those words the moment there is something you can't forgive. The moment there is anything that you, as an individual, does not agree with and is critical about.
Like in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the show does something you don't like.
The moment RWBY does something that you cannot, with all of this mentality of having to love it, the moment something happens that you cannot agree with, you're gonna be eating those words. Because it might happen inevitably.
Yeah.
Because it can't all just be perfect. There always has to be a great divide, a Bato of the water tribe. It's inevitable.
And similarly, if you are more critical, stop trying to do this thing where you're like, all the people who like the show are getting paid off by Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
Or they're simps. Or stop. People just like the show.
Don't be...
You don't have to... You don't have to be a dick.
Don't be picking on people because they enjoy something. Like,
that's... You know who does that? Bullies.
Yeah, exactly. There's no... What do you gain by making someone feel bad for enjoying something? Huh? What did you... Do you feel better? Fuck you. Just because you didn't like it. That doesn't make it any better to make someone else feel bad about it.
Just as much as people are allowed to be unhappy with RWBY, people are allowed to be happy with RWBY. And no, they're not getting paid to say that. Rooster Teeth hates giving away money.
Oh my god, they hate
the
giving
fact
away
that they
money.
love fucking taking monetization away from small YouTubers so much proves that.
They're not
gonna pay
off.
some tiny ass YouTuber to say nice things. That's just not happening.
It's not
they barely pay their own employees.
Oh, shit. Like, it's not bad. Like, it's not hard to believe people love something. Or love something to the point where they might be willing to forgive even major flaws. It's like at the very beginning, it's just opinions. Like,
yep. I had a talk with Murder of Birds, and I'm gonna be honest, I thought he was partnered with Rooster Teeth. Like, I know he is friendly with a lot of the employees. They seem to follow him on Twitter. I thought it was, like, an open secret that he was, like, partnered with them. That he was, like, here, you get access to trailers, and you kind of a thing. He's not.
No.
Like, I talked to him. He's not. He's not partnered with them. Honestly, I think they're kind of fucking him over by being so friendly with him and, like, kind of playing favorites with Murder of Birds. Because that does bring into this question of even people who... It's not like I hate Arnold. I've never hated Arnold. But I found it hard to believe his opinion because Rooster Teeth favor him so much. But no, he's just still really excited about the show.
So there's a thing, I don't remember which one, but in one of Markiplier's Try Not to Laugh videos, one of them somewhere, there's a part where it's a dude watching an episode of One Piece and he gets so excited he falls out of his chair. Yeah. I wish, with my heart, I could be that excited about anything. I would kill to be that fucking thrilled with something. He must be living his happiest ass life. Look, that...
I'm jealous of Arnold.
Exactly.
I wish I was still this enthusiastic about RWBY.
I saw a tweet the other day. I don't remember who said it. I don't even know if it's someone I was, like, subscribed to or whatever. Following, whatever, internet. And it was just, hey, you know all those cringe compilation videos you watch? More than half of those people are happier than you. And I'm like, damn it, he's right. Because they're just happy. Sorry, you can't be that happy. But they are, so why try to shit on them for it?
Yeah.
I'd kill to have what they have.
So yeah, absolutely stop with this tribalism. And also, so this is something that happens way too frequently, and it's actually like a real problem. I know we're having fun here, but this is actually pretty dang serious. Mm-hmm. Is this tactic of dehumanization that the fandom likes to use to try to win arguments, where any disagreement is met with, you are racist, sexist, homophobic,
yes.
You're a bootlicker, you're an abuse apologist. They will label people anything that is a de facto bad to try to win.
Yeah.
You are dehumanizing people.
Yeah, that is very gross.
You should not be doing that. You really don't do that.
Do not do that. That is so vile.
It's an abuse tactic. It's how people subjugated other people, like women in the past and minorities. Yeah, it's called dehumanizing, and you have to stop doing that. Like, really, though. Because also, you're crying wolf. Not only are you just being a dickhead to win an argument about a cartoon, but also, if those events do show up, if there is an instance of someone being homophobic or racist or transphobic or whatever, then you're pulling the eyes away from that. If these things do end up happening, then we need those words available to sound the alarm, to put up the red flag, to highlight the person who should be blocked or whatever it is. So you're spoiling the water. You're making it harder to find the actual perpetrators of these atrocities.
Yeah, and
so like just really stop.
It's bad. Don't do that. It's also just not accurate. Like, if you don't like, let's say someone says, I don't like Bumblebee. Oh, you must be homophobic. Well, I do like Blake and Yang together, but I don't like how it was executed. No, you're still homophobic. And
even if the person is part of the LGBTQ plus community, even if their argument is, I preferred Blake and or Yang with a different girl, even if, the argument Rainbow, is woo! Just... even if the argument is, this is me, I've said this, I wanted them to get to spend more time together first. I wanted to care about the ship before it became canon. Then you get painted homophobic. You get told you are homophobic.
It's also, that's bad. This was something I was thinking about today, and I feel like racism was the one I was thinking about. So... Let's say I don't like Harriet, and someone jumps out and says, well, is it because you're racist? You're just being racist. No, you are, because you know what that is? That is you. You're boiling down Harriet to only being a person of color. You are ignoring every single other aspect about her as a character, despite the fact she has a very broad and interesting personality. You are devaluing her to only her skin tone. And
to assume that surely
racist.
Someone must be talking about only her race. You're just listen to people. People will usually explain themselves, and if they do, that's how you can figure out, oh wow, this person's a racist, or you can figure out this person just didn't like how annoying Harriet was in the finale. Why was it so weird?
So annoying? But the fandom, it's really bad. They need to stop jumping to such trigger words to try to discredit people, because they didn't like what they said, so you have to be some sort of evil construct. Because like I said before, it's about opinions, but when you jump to try to discredit them and prove their opinions wrong, you can't, because it's just opinions. So what these people try to do is jump to these extremes, these very extreme accusations, to try to discredit them as...
Oh, well, they're a fascist,
by their,
so better not listen to them.
Try to tear down their moral character. Them as a human.
Yeah, it's a manipulation tactic.
It goes from...
For hating Adam so much, this fandom sure does love using gaslighting, dehumanizing, and other manipulation tactics.
You just don't
And
do that.
RWBY does handle a lot of kind of intense topics like that. Like racism, abuse, PTSD... These are all big things, and that's the short list, and that's not even including the things that they accidentally end up talking about. Yeah. Like how Volume 8 can be read in a bit of an ableist way.
A little bit, but, like, that's the thing. Like...
And I don't think it was I don't think it was the intent. I don't think the intent was to imply, oh, Ironwood lost an arm and got more metal, to signify him losing his humanity, completely ignoring the selection of people out there who have lost limbs and had to get prosthetics, and how they're not less human for that. Oops, but that's the thing, Rooster Teeth, they keep doing that. I never think that they are malicious, but they need to start actually thinking when they write, because I'm tired of saying, now I know that wasn't their intention, but they accidentally did a fucky wucky again. Like, come on, guys. So yeah, like, the show handles a lot of pretty intense topics, and that will garner a lot of pretty intense conversations. Regardless of whether or not that conversation is talking about how well or poorly something was handled. But if people are talking about, like, I don't like how they did the PTSD, I don't like how they pictured abuse, I don't like this or that, it's a show that is handling really big things. So you shouldn't just assume that they're coming at this negative opinion from a place of arbitrary hatred, because since the show does handle such big topics, that means that discussing those big topics is important, because if the show could have done something better, if it did end up doing something problematic, even if it wasn't their intent, it should be talked about.
Yes.
So stop just saying you are any kind of phobia or any kind of ist to devalue an argument. Because often what you're doing is you are telling someone that they are wrong for standing up for something that is really big in the world. For something very, very real life important. Like, at that point you're splitting away from talking about a fucking cartoon anime with characters with candy-colored hair, and now you're talking about the real fucking world. Like, you can't jump that bridge so loosely. Just with wanton disabandonment. Like... Yeah. RWBY garners a lot of negative opinions, unfortunately. And some of it is due to, like, writing and animation and fight choreography. But another good portion of it is because of how Rooster Teeth have decided to tackle these really big issues. And a negative, like, saying that something wasn't done well isn't necessarily, like... a nail in a coffin. Like, if someone wants to speak out about how the way they represented PTSD is actually kind of harmful, because I've seen some of those. Yeah. Then that is important to note, and you need to be able to recognize what things, like, if you think that the animation is fine, then cool, like, it's just the animation, you know, that's not particularly important in the grand scheme of things. But if someone wants to talk about how the, like, LGBTQ representation is shallow or something, well, that's important. Yeah. Because we want that to be done well.
And even if it's something that you think was done well, there's still room for critique. Like, I saw someone talking about Joker. Great movie. Fantastic movie. Loved
the
Joker.
One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yes. And, but they were, like a trained, like a behavioral scientist or like a trained therapist or something. And they were talking about how, even though it's a good movie, technically the depiction of what Arthur Fleck goes through is a little extreme. And They lamented the fact that you hardly ever get to see movies where people suffer from the afflictions that he does suffer from, and they don't just become villains, crazy villains.
Yeah.
And that's something, that is something to be discussed, even though that is a good movie, and it was technically delivered on a good level. There is always something to discuss, especially when you tackle very serious issues like this. There is always elements to discuss in relation to it.
Discussing the flaws that happened in Joker means that someone else can learn from those mistakes and circumvent them next time.
Yes.
Discussing the flaws in RWBY means that preferably the writing team and directing team can learn from those mistakes and handle it better next time.
Or at the very least, you as an individual can learn something. Something about...
Yeah.
Like, everyone goofs every now and then. Everyone says something that they didn't mean to. You didn't realize how offensive that word was, or how, like, targeted that mentality is. We all learn. We're not born perfect. We have to learn. And listening to what critics say, and reviewers and discussion posts, listening to what people say based on their own opinions and their thoughts on these topics can help us learn. So to try to jump in and claim people as homophobic or racist or this, that, and the other thing is not a learning tool. It's just...
Yeah, you're shutting down people's opportunities to speak about rarely discussed topics.
Yes. Similarly, back on the idea of tribalism and using these kind of trigger words, for lack of a better term, another thing is, with the RWBY community, they really tend to paint whole groups of people as one of two things. Either just forgiving fanboys, or, like, hurtful critics. Like, haters.
The fanatics and the hate dump.
Yes.
Rude versus the simps.
Yeah.
Or apologists. Or whatever. There's a billion different titles for these two different sides.
That's bad. Generalizations, in any way, is usually pretty bad. You can't assume, just because you watched one critic video where they said a meany thing that you didn't agree with, it's not fair to claim all critics are evil, mean people. Mm-hmm. Just because one person was so much of an apologetic fan of everything about RWBY, it doesn't mean all of them feel that way about everything.
Yeah, and people seem to, like, they keep saying, like, I'm sure it's just a vocal minority, but then they treat it like it's not. Like, you can't just be performative about that statement. Mm-hmm. It is most likely a vocal minority, because a lot of people are fucking normal. And they're not weird. So, yeah, it is a vocal minority. These ones who want to, all critics are Satan, or no, all the fans are simps, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, stop trying to put someone onto a side. Because you know what ends up happening is that you just try to find people on the other side and attack them.
Yeah.
Because they're on that side. Mm-hmm. They're the bad side. Which means everyone gets fucked by everybody. Because everyone gets shat on from both quote-unquote sides. Because there are no sides.
Yeah, exactly. That's what breeds that mentality of, I have to always think everything of the show is perfect all the time. Because if I don't, people will think I'm one of the big, evil, mean critics. No. You're allowed to be human.
Yeah. Humans are complicated.
That dude...
Their feelings are complicated.
That dude I talked about earlier, the one who was super jazzed about watching a One Piece video, that he fell out of his chair. Yeah. Even he has an episode he doesn't like. I guarantee it. Even he has a least favorite character. I guarantee it. You don't need to be like a weird, like, purity robot about the show. And similarly, you don't need to be on, like, a warpath and try to shit on everything about the show.
Real talk, if you are so unhappy with the show that you want, like, oh, I hate all the people who enjoy the show, they're all stupid, this show is bad. If you stopped watching the show, 1, you would be happier, and 2, the show would have a better chance of getting canceled. Like, if that's what you really, really want that bad, just stop engaging with it and its community, and it has a better chance of not getting renewed.
Yeah,
if that's truly what you want.
Bad movies get sequels. Forgotten movies don't. You know?
Yeah. And even if it never does get canceled and your dreams of RWBY getting canceled are dashed, then hey, at least you didn't have to sit through the shit show that it was, you know?
Exactly.
It's not a don't like, don't watch. It's a why are you watching?
Okay, and alright, that is so dumb to me. Don't like, don't watch. No, fuck you. Shut up.
Yeah, also, if I don't like something, I am still allowed to watch it if I want to.
Yes.
If it's don't want to watch, don't watch. That's the thing.
And that usually gets thrown around when someone is trying to express something. Like, oh, I didn't like Ironwood's character. Well, if you didn't like it, don't watch it. Yeah. I didn't, but I did.
Because I'm hoping to like whatever it was next time, you know?
Exactly. Like, don't like, don't watch is dumb. Just as a general.
It is. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
This is a little tangential, but I want to talk about soundtracks and Ironwood. So there's this new thing in the fandom where Ironwood has always been evil because that's the new thing that people are really stuck on. Ironwood has always been evil, and people who like Ironwood are bootlickers.
Mm-hmm. You should have seen it from the beginning. It was obvious when he sat there and he stood up for Weiss. It was obvious how evil he was.
But, so here's the thing. Soundtracks. People use the soundtracks as gospel. The song Bumblebee came out, and people went bananas, because that meant Bumblebee is canon, it's gonna become real, and it did end up becoming real, but people tend to forget, A, that there was on the same soundtrack, I think it was the song right before Bumblebee, there was a Black Sun song. Yeah. But also, people are forgetting the song Hero.
Yeah.
Ironwood's song that plays in Volume 7 when he's fighting Watts. I find it incredibly difficult to listen to Hero and think, that's the bad guy. He wants to be evil.
It's definitely...
when he's saying things like, I'll risk it all to keep you safe.
Yeah, it definitely gives an air of, like, maybe paranoia, which has always been Ironwood's
Yeah, I mean, you can
deal.
choose to read it like that, but the way it's presented, it sounds genuine. Mm-hmm. The way the music is composed, it feels like it's why so many people do like Ironwood. Because we did think he was, like, just misguided, that he is willing to risk it all to keep his Atlas, his people, his army, his everything safe. And then Volume 8 started and he shot a man, and we all went, oh no.
That kind of came out of nowhere, huh? And then everyone, no, it was there the whole... People seem to... They act like everything was planned out from the very beginning. No, they tricked you. You were supposed to know Ironwood was going to be evil the whole time. No, like, things happen, things develop, things can change.
Considering that they did say that they had Volumes 7, 8, and 9 basically done by the end of Volume 7, like, we've already written out Volumes 8 and 9, you would think that they would have done a better job of setting up Ironwood as a bad guy who would shoot someone in the face, but...
You know, things happen.
Just because it was set up just because it was decided from the beginning doesn't mean it was done well from the beginning.
On this tangent, I hate, this is the one that always pisses me off. Neo does have a backstory. She has her song, One Thing. We've heard Neo's, but Team RWBY can't download her song on Spotify.
Yeah.
We're gonna end up seeing this played out in the show anyway.
Some people can't download the song on Spotify, and you sure as balls can't hear it behind the rabble that is their fight in Volume 6.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this thing...
Like, if it's important enough to make it a song, put it in the fucking show. Mm-hmm. Like, that's it, you know?
Similarly, people do this all the time. Neo does have a voice actress. It's Casey. No. She doesn't.
Yeah, she had a voice in the Blaze Blue. That's the thing.
That was a gag. She's mute, right? Just
Have you heard anything from the new Roman Neo book?
Apparently some people were like accusing it of being ableist. But it's this thing, I keep seeing people accuse things of being ableist, but the people...
Yeah, it's a real new hot thing.
But the thing they're exemplifying are villains. Like, apparently this, evil dad character in Neo's story was, like, pissed off about her being mute or something. It's like, see, the book's ableist. It's like, no, that's a villain. You're not supposed to agree with the villain of a story.
Like, do you think Love, Simon is homophobic? Because it shows some of the trials and tribulations that young LGBTQ people have to deal with. Like, representing a bad guy doing the homophobia or the ableism or whatever it is not supporting it. Yeah. Like, you have to consider the context.
Is this where some of these criticisms about the RWBY community, like the RWBY community criticisms about critics and stuff, do they think that just because you talk about a topic, that means you're in support of it?
I don't know. Do those people also think that movies are advocating, oh man, you should snort cocaine and murder people because Scarface was a good movie? Like
it was.
Like, are you unable to recognize intent?
No, have you heard anything about the new Neo and Roman book that's coming out?
Yes.
When you hear?
Are you planning on reading it?
No.
Okay. Spoiler warning for the Roman Neo book.
Yeah, spoilers. I'll put it on screen. There'll be a link in the description.
I think the book has her... She's selectively mute. She's just choosing not to talk.
No.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess that's, it's... That happens too, but I don't know. I guess I just wish, like, why couldn't we have just had someone born mute?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. Selectively mute. Honestly, the weird part is if they do have her speak, I would assume Casey would voice her, since she's already provided a voice for Neo for the Blaze Blue game. And that would just be weird, because that would suddenly mean all of Weiss's songs would now sound like it's being sung by Neo.
It also would be weird, because there have been so many times that she could have spoken, but has opted not to. And I can understand in certain scenarios, but there are so many other scenarios where I'm like, keeping it, just pretending she is actually mute, just to be like, nope, surprise, she's only selected me mute. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
That is weird.
That feels very
weird. It is weird to, like, they created her, and they mentioned that, oh, she's gonna have a voice actress, it's this comedian. What a dumb idea that was.
It was like Sarah Silverman or something like that. And
yeah, because Gray just liked chasing big star names.
That's why they tanked all their budget for Genlock on David Tennant.
Yeah, for no reason. So, yeah, there's that. And then she was gone, and then everyone kind of just decided she was mute because she never ended up getting a voice, and it felt like Rooster Teeth were like, yeah, let's just roll with that. So I don't see why they would then decide, oh no, how about we just make her selectively mute? Like, I don't know why they would want to complicate it all this much.
Yeah. It just feels weird when they're backpedaling for no reason.
It does feel like... Yeah, it feels like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. If she does end up talking, it's gonna be like the big dramatic moment. Like, that's what it's gonna be. They've got their little bag of fan service goodies that they hold on to keep people coming back. I bet you that's why Blake and Yang haven't kissed yet. Because they're waiting for their numbers to get low enough, and then it's like, fuck, we're losing people. Have the girls kiss. Go. So...
Man, I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. I hope that's not the case, because that sounds bad. That sounds really bad.
But I guess we've run out of things to talk about.
I guess so. I mean, this is a pretty decently sized podcast, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry, it had to be a lot of, like, this is how the fandom is going, and this is what we think about what etiquette you should convey when having a discussion.
Just please treat others politely.
Yes. Golden rule.
It's try to be chill a little bit.
Yeah. It's not a war. There are no sides. Yes. You don't need to fight. Alright? Yeah. We're all watching the same show.
Let's all get along and talk about a cartoon, damn it.
Yeah. So, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, or listening, or whatever you ended up doing. Shout out to my $10 patrons. I'll put it in post. My, here. Nako, James Dodds, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Surge, Boulder Off Bros, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Great Bar, Caleb Grimm, Pentamenta, Genital War Thunder, Carmen, Order, Jake, Soren, Storm, Amber, Lawleth, Livid Aries, Matt Frost, and Just a Chap in a Top Hat. Wow, aren't those $10 patrons so pretty and beautiful?
So cool. Very neat.
They're the best. In the comments, go ahead, leave your thoughts and opinions on anything we talked about.
If you get into a petty argument in this video's comment section, that's embarrassing. Like, a petty one.
I can't...
Like, if you get an argument about Weiss's Volume 7 outfit, then it's like, guys.
I can't wait for the comments that are like, they only touch on one or two things. It's like, no, I don't think Radical Ed is the best character. Or that one person's like, I liked Planet Sheen.
Good, I'm glad for you.
So yeah, any and all thoughts and opinions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see ya in the next one. Bye-bye.
Adios.